Moral faggots are egoists who project their just world fantasies onto everyone else. If they perceive something to be unfair, they will come up with blue-pilled shit like karma, you will reap what you sow, or my kike God will seek retribution against sinners. In a practical sense, morality is dumb, and there are three simple reasons for this. 1. Morality appeals to egotism. Laws appeal to civility and politeness. There is a humble essence about law that cannot be found in morality. The key purpose of morals is to attribute the idea of virtue and righteousness to desirable behavior, and attribute ideas of vice or wickedness to undesirable behavior. Otherwise, morality wouldn't exist, and you would only have laws. Laws are primarily designed to protect the interests of the people who are subjected to the authority who created those laws. To have a notion of virtue is like thinking, I'm a spiritually and psychologically better person than you because there are morals that I abide by and you don't. It's egoistic bullshit, so what if you are spiritual? You're still going to die one day. Plus, why should I aspire to have a more similar mentality to someone else? If I don't like their mindset, then whether they are spiritually or psychologically better than me is based on their own pathetic criteria of morals that I don't agree with. Laws, on the other hand, are based on a notion of civility, like I'm a more polite and civilized person than you cause there are laws that I abide by and you don't. As long as you don't attribute ideas of virtue to being polite and civilized, it's much less egoistic than thinking you are spiritually or psychologically better person than someone else. 2. Morality strongly appeals to the notion of free will and essentially ignores or rejects the harsh reality of determinism. A moral faggot won't only tell you that some sort of morality exists. Do you know what they will also tell you? That you have agency, that you have the power to make a choice, and whatever happens to you is a direct consequence of your actions. But as any black pillar would know, this is basically a mixture of blue-pilled and red-pilled shit. Determinism contradicts morality because it removes accountability from the one who moral faggots project their fantasy of morality on. By the standard of some moral faggots, your evil nature can be a consequence of a mere accident. Is it the elephant man's fault that he was born a subhuman? I'm confident there were pathetic normies in his era who judged his existence as a manifestation of evil, and therefore he must be either purged or removed from society. Your mere involuntary existence can be deemed evil in the eyes of some moral faggots depending on how you exist. Cause their fantasy of morality doesn't make adjustments for involuntary circumstances. You are evil because you are subhuman. But how can you be blamed for being subhuman if you didn't choose to be born in the first place? If I chose not to believe that a pathetic kike was nailed to a plank of wood in order to save the souls of a bunch of pathetic goys, that makes me evil, and therefore I must be purged. What kind of a pathetic criteria of morality is that? That's right. It is a pathetic code that's only accepted by a bunch of kike worshippers. Is it my fault that I was born? No. Did I choose to be born? No. So why am I being held to a kike worshipper's standard of morality that states I will suffer for eternity just because I decided not to think that some kike is the divine savior of all humanity, even though it is not even my fault for simply being born in the first place? 3. Laws are adjustable, not set in stone, but morals are meant to be set in stone. Despite how outdated or impractical the moral code might be, the standard for justice in law is based on the consensus about how to offset or counterbalance the socio-economic upset that is caused to a member of society. For example, if someone is victim of theft, the economic situation of that person could be hurt. As a result, that hurt can be offset via a corresponding punishment of the thief, i.e., imprisonment, economic reparation for what was stolen. The standard for justice in morality is based on mere ego projection, which is prone to arbitrariness and favoritism, bias. For example, X is righteous. Therefore, anyone who opposes X is evil and will be punished for their immoral ways. The authority has declared X is righteous. Therefore, X is righteous. Morality is just a religious appropriation of law that has extra superstitious appeal to make spiritual people, who are mostly blue pill, feel warm and fuzzy inside. The only problem with laws is that sometimes they can eventually prove to be impractical or extreme, depending on the state of affairs in the society or economy. So sometimes laws may have to be scrapped or amended in order to adjust to the conditions that society or the economy might find itself in. For example, the AOC may be 18, and it may be illegal for adult males to sexually interact with females under 18. But suppose a rare phenomenon occurred in the future where a large proportion of the male population were slaughtered or exterminated. Lawmakers may recognize the infrastructure of the country is at risk of falling apart due to the male population deficit, and if they aren't able to import immigrant workers to make up for the male population deficit, they might ultimately have to resort to radical measures in order to save the country's infrastructure, lowering the AOC to encourage more reproduction, increasing minimum workers' wage, reducing or scrapping NEET-Bucks allowance for unemployed men. Both morality and law are focused on the regulation of behavior, but the difference is, morality claims there is a guaranteed reward for people who follow morals, and a guaranteed punishment for people who fail to follow morals. The adherence of morals is rewarded in some way, and the reward is normally anticipated as a divine reward, like eternal paradise, or gaining superpowers, or pussy. The breaking of morals is punished in some way, and the reward is normally anticipated as divine punishment, like prolonged misery, spiritual isolation, eternal torture, spiritual death. Laws do not guarantee a reward for people who follow laws, and do not guarantee punishment for people who break them. The adherence of law is not always rewarded, as civilians sometimes live a life of misery and torment. Even while being law-abiding citizens, the breaking of law is not always punished, as criminals sometimes do avoid punishment after breaking the law. Moral faggots are aware of this, which is why sometimes they'll say blue-pilled shit like, if he didn't receive his due justice for the offense that he committed in this life, then my kike God will punish him for it in the afterlife. It also advocates slave morality by suggesting punishment extends to the afterlife for people who manage to live their best life and avoid punishment for crimes they committed in this life. Laws are generally more adjustable or adaptable than morals. Unlike morals, all laws aren't meant to be set in stone, and depending on the situation that society is in, laws may be scrapped or amended to adapt to the societal situation. In short, all moral faggots are to some degree blue pill, red pill. In character, even if they understand the black pill, the concept of law makes more sense than morality. Law is made to promote civility and to ensure the safety and welfare of society. Morality is made to stroke individuals' ego. Morality also do not allow adjustments for involuntary circumstances, whereas law can allow adjustments for involuntary circumstances.